Okay, we're all set. So welcome everybody to the, oh, this is all markets. Yikes, sorry. Hold on. All right, there we go.
Awkward.
that looks more like it. Okay, so welcome to the Bookmap Academy webinar. We do this every Thursday. This is the coaching and mentoring program we have over here at Bookmap in our Discord channel. If you're interested in partaking in that, just go over to bookmap.com and click on the more button here. And then you'll see the information under community Bookmap Academy here. Click on that and you can read through it. You can apply directly here. It'll scroll you down the page and you can input your details here. So read through it. It's, like I said, a coaching and mentoring program, and it goes through steps in the process here as you get better. And I'll detail out a little bit of it right now. So just a couple of items to cover. First, our new supply and demand setups course. We've been going over this during the all markets webinar Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So see it in the live market. Pull some examples from it. I think we saw like 4 setups, individual different setups from the course on Tuesday. So they happen frequently. There's 10 videos in there. They're very short. It's only in the Learning Center. So if you want to go there and check them out, it's free. You don't need to do anything. Just go to bookmap.com and then click on the education button here. This brings you to the Learning Center. And then you can click on the supply and demand courses here, and the 10 videos are here. You can see they're just like a few minutes long. All right, so that's that. And then also, we have our onboarding webinar. I don't have the slide for that one. We had it on Tuesday afternoon. So if you're new to Bookmap, then you can go to that as well. God, where is it? Here it is. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. East Coast time. It's just to get you up and running in Bookmap, connecting to data, adding a symbol, installing the program, basically. All right, so now we built out, this is part of the Bookmap Academy playbook, or the journaling here. We've built this out over the last few weeks and added a little bit more in here. So you're looking to meet a quota, a quantitative and qualitative quota, and then mark up your charts, okay? Journal your trades. And then what we're looking for in the journal here, we've got four or 5 points in here. 4 points you can see. We're looking for a market impetus. What's moving the market? Align that with your higher time frame key levels. Your time of day. Okay, is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? Is it extended hours? Or something, I don't know, some other market, whatever it is, and the time of day for that market. Also your checklist, okay, of your setup, and then add in that order flow event that will put all of this together for a high probability trade. The idea here is through your journaling, you will become much better at noticing exactly your setup. You'll make it your own. You'll build out a playbook. You'll have several of them. You'll see progress, and then you will have a setup for yourself, a playbook to lean back on or fall back on. And we are recommending just take one setup and create 20 markups, okay? 20 markups in journaling of your trades or of your setup. This is a great start to start to trade much better. All right, so that's the spiel here. Let's jump in, and what we're going to do is go through a bunch of your trades. Why don't we start off with Jack, and we have Vale Fan. I believe you're in here, so let's invite you to the stage, and we can get going.
Yeah, there he is.
All right.
What's up,
Hey,
buddy?
what's up?
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good.
Good. Thank you. Let me pull up the thing here. So, the blurb there's mostly for everybody else. Since Nathan's here, we'll just go ahead and talk about it real quick. I really like this trade, obviously from cam levels, right? This is a really solid trade. From a bookmap level, though, just the one bookmap image, This is not my favorite. Bruce, could you pull up that image and zoom in? We'll just kind of cover that real quick. So on your journal entry here for your image, if you look down at the timestamps, you really compressed your 1400 to 1430, and it's real tough to see what's going on there.
Okay.
I think for your journal image, for our image, whatever, it's fine. But for the one you keep, I would definitely like you to see you have it expanded out more, because I know what you're waiting for on the R4, right? Like I know you're waiting for the buyers to come in there, and I know you're waiting for the order flow, but we can't see it in the book map here.
I gotcha.
But I mean, how many trades have I reviewed of yours, right? Or how many times have I
Right.
looked at these things? So I know it's there. I can't see it on this one, and it's all about that journal for you.
Okay.
But that's just more personal stuff. This is a great setup. This is one of my favorite types of setups for traders in here. This is what I like to refer to as the break and retest. And I like to look for it off of an opening range. My opening range is 30 minutes. Now, the only difference between me and David is David looks at his opening range in the first minute. The only difference between me and Nathan here is instead of looking at an arbitrary time range, he's looking at a previous day's range with cam levels. And what he's looking for on that is he's looking for it to come into the level and the level to act as some type of absorption. It doesn't have to defend price perfectly. It can breach, but he's looking for it to absorb volume there.
Yes.
And if you look at the book map, you can see exactly that. And Bruce, if you could kind of zoom in a little for me on the candlestick chart a little bit, because we've got more time frame there. Yeah, if you could even do a little bit more, right where his entry is, if we could. I don't know how far you can though. We can really see those wicks on those candles. That's how we know we're getting absorption, right? Because our highs and lows are way outside the body of our candle, right? We open and close really tightly, but we're pretty much absorbing right into this selling, right at this level. And that's what he's looking for that springboard action. This would be an aggressive entry. Technically, if you were going to do a break and retest, you would wait for it to come back up higher where it was and then come back to the level and then take your entry long on that one. But aggressive entries, there's nothing wrong with them. Again, it's about the style here that you're looking at. This is a good one. I really like the take profit as well, Nathan. You targeted it right at the previous high, which is fantastic. That's exactly where I would have been. And we can see in the bookmap image, especially with it zoomed in like this, on the push lower, all of that liquidity either got pulled or absorbed, or not absorbed, swept. So now we don't know necessarily looking at it like this. We would have to have the microstructure. We'd have to zoom in on bookmap to see if it was pulled or swept. But we can see that liquidity was there, and then it price slammed right through it. And then we saw price come back to it and make that initial, essentially a swing high for us in this case, and then retrace lower, right? Now, when we expect price to revert, we expect it to try to get some of that liquidity levels from previous areas. And that's what makes the take profit there at the previous high very, very strong, because not only is it a previous high, but it was a previous liquidity level. So there's a lot of confluence there for a target there. But I don't know if you put a runner on there, and I didn't see any notes on it.
It's just been
In and out.
fixed risk, 2-to-1s. That's all
fine.
I've been doing, and I have been doing actually really well.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. And everybody needs to change strategies according to market conditions. We were kind of talking about this earlier. I'm not really trading Delta One instruments right now. I'm trading options because I can take some of the convexity versus taking some of the hard deltas, right? I mean, we see what happened, a couple of tweets. We were, from 5,600 to 5,900. So it's a big difference, and that can hurt you.
Yeah, for me, I've actually gone from options to trading the Delta Ones off the equities. So I've gone the reverse.
And you're also your trading would not be very theta efficient for this market.
No, it's not. So no, sometimes
that makes it better for you to go
Delta
One. Yeah. So I would agree with you there. Like on this entry, for example, if he would have used options instead of single stock instruments on this, that initial entry that he got is a great entry if you're just long from that location, right? Like we could see clearly it goes from 116.8 to 117.6. That's a great long entry. However, the time it took to get there was very long, right? And all of that just bled out of the options premium when had a retracement back. So all of that time from his entry to the other entry he could have taken is just basically lost to value if he'd have used options. So there's reasons to avoid those if you're just naked long options. So it's smart in cases. I think this is one of those for sure.
Yeah.
Counters to that are you could spread it. So I mean that's also an option.
That's what you need to teach me more about, man. That's what I'm ready for.
Yeah, it's
Just start
coming.
doing that.
It's coming. Yeah, it's just a lot of there's a lot of learning that's got to go on, right? There's a lot of tools being developed. We're still building out the learning scenario Bookmap
I'm
too.
itching though. I'm learning more, and I keep wanting to learn more. So I'm itching for
So that was most of the content that I had here. Coach wise, from your video's solid, but you need post processing, man. Like it was 30 minutes, and I watched the full thing to watch the trade in general. That's hard to do. So you really want to either like get your entry or get your setup, then fast forward to where, you know, maybe there was some pain or something interesting, and then fast forward to the end of your trade reaching its destination. I think that those are a lot better.
Yeah, and that's why I keep the original, and I throw it in one of those. I have a trading review file, and so it goes right in there. And that's one of those things I do on the weekend. I go back and look at different things and look at different aspects.
Good. If you recorded this live and it usually stays internal, I would add your own voice to it. I would talk to yourself. And the reason being is, this is how I used to start journaling. Was I started with voice notes because I had a little dictaphone thing, right? You just talk into it and it records it for you. And you can get those transcribed pretty easily back then, before, you know, AI and Dragon and all the other stuff that makes transcription really easy. And it's really great because it saves a lot of your process. And there's a couple of things that you'll notice during a trade that you'll say, but when you go to review the trade, you won't remember those small little things. But if you use a voice note, it's incredibly beneficial to you.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that I'm having my webinars every week with variable traders, and also talking to other traders in the other community. So I'm in about Bookmap is I really think in words, like I just think in concepts and ideas. So like the pictures and everything's in my head, but actually now talking to people and getting it out in words has helped solidify some of the things I know, and actually made me, you know, recognize things better. So that's a good recommendation.
My mentor in grad school told me the most important thing that I ever learned. If you ever want to be good at something, try teaching it.
I agree 100%.
So
that's what has started to make me really progress quickly again.
Yeah, because
people getting to a level.
Questions. Yeah. People will ask questions in ways that you weren't ready for, right? And that's essentially what we're trying to do as coaches here. We're trying to give you that same feedback. Like we're trying to get you to tell us why you did the thing you did in such detail that if we wanted to go do it, we could literally just follow your notes, right? Like that's essentially what we're trying to get you to do. Because when you start thinking in those ways, the times you're spending doing your own checklist, your own preparation for every single trade, you will do faster. Like you will just be able to get faster.
And that's where that subconscious memory of your checklist and everything comes in, and that's what starts to build that like intuition or that instinct.
Exactly.
Is that subconscious of seeing it over and over. Now it's become instinct and intuition. Instead of thinking through it, you just react to it. You don't have that extra little time, and they're keeping you away from trades or making you take trades.
That was the bulk of what I had though. Just those main comments. It was all mainly coaching stuff. Like we've said, you know, we've covered a dozen trades for you. So just getting the highlights and the key points that I think for your improvement right now, those are the areas I would focus on.
Oh, perfect.
Anything I can help you with, man? Before I hand it off to one of the other guys?
You just keep helping me the way you're helping me. It's like talking about stuff. You know, I got the options itch now, so
it's fun. It's fun.
Gamma stuff. That's what I'm really getting excited about and getting into. So
yeah. So the keys there, you're gonna want to see. Obviously, if you're using them for futures, which I think is probably one of the best ways to use them, I think they're great for equities. I think it's really, 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 really strong for futures and SPX trading. And if you use it that way, once you get aligned to the way you need to look at an ES chart and simultaneously look at an SPX chart, it's really solid, because you will notice that the liquidity levels that we see in Bookmap often are around large specific market maker strikes. They're not necessarily the biggest strikes in the expiry, but it's where the market maker's concentration is. So that's why we see some of the things that we see. And the way you see some of the liquidity develop, you will be able to like notice that, oh, this isn't liquidity necessarily pushing it down. This is like a dead drop. Like this is literally the place where like if price pushes past here, they need to be full short, right? Like they need to be completely hedged by this point. Otherwise their position's at risk essentially.
Yeah. And that's
you
what
can
I'm trying to
start
dial in
in those
right there.
yeah. It just takes time. As much time as it took you to do Bookmap, I would say that options take probably three times as long.
It's
and I
already
spent
taken longer than that, man.
yeah, and I spent
I got booked that
probably
pretty quick.
I spent probably 3 months on Bookmap, really, really
Mhm.
heavily. And it was a lot of fun. But those are the
Does
main content.
SPX
Go ahead.
have a chart for Bookmap, or is it just best to read the futures on that?
You read futures, and then you just modify by the offset, by
Okay.
the carry cost.
Yeah, because I do have an ES and SPX chart right next to each other, so I try to
Well,
keep that
you
that
don't
in mind.
necessarily need that. You could just use your you could just combine one chart.
Oh, I didn't
It
know you
doesn't
could do
matter
that.
which
SPX
chart you use.
is a index, so it's
I
not.
know, but their
There's
prices are off sometimes a little bit.
there's no
They will be because they
liquidity.
don't converge.
There's no central order book. There's no volume. So there's nothing to show in Bookmap
Well,
really.
yeah, I meant not
Okay.
Bookmap. I meant he meant on his side chart is what he was talking about. I thought.
Yeah, I mean you
Well,
can
I thought I
use.
was just wondering if there was like something
No,
SPX wise that would give like that same price and that liquidity. Since it does have options, I was
no.
wondering if
There's
there.
nothing like that. No.
Okay.
And the only thing
Okay.
you would be able to do, because you got to remember, every expiry has all the strikes, right? So
Mhm.
it would be very difficult to show any type of liquidity instrument unless you wanted to like literally just focus on zero DTE. But that becomes difficult when you do it that way because let's say you have like a JPM collar outside the money, right? Like it's a very large position. You wouldn't see
Mhm.
that showing there. No, Blaze, like it doesn't show options contracts, but what we understand from dealer hedging and market makers who have to make markets for options, we know that they hedge in the futures market. And that's what we're looking for a lot of times. And we can see signals of that in Bookmap. And the way we see that is very often large blocks of liquidity, which will show up as like giant red bands of blood, will coordinate to those a lot of times. And once you develop an eye in Bookmap and you understand what's going on in options, you can then start looking at options and the way they should impact the liquidity within Bookmap. It's a long process though. That's kind of what I was saying.
Yep. I'm getting there though.
Yeah, for
Thanks
sure.
to you.
David,
Uh,
any
everybody puts effort in there. Go ahead.
comments?
Great chatting, Betty. Love it. Love it. So well done. And great commentary there as well, Jack. Not a lot to add, really. As you rightly said, guys, it's that familiar pattern, isn't it, of that higher lows carving through. You've got your cam level, and off we go. Was there a hero chart within this?
There was
all,
at the bottom. It was
at the
strong
bottom?
and reversed. Yeah. There was a if I remember right looking at it, it was in a different image, but there's a large
Yeah.
block trade, bullish.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Right at the level too.
Gorgeous. Yeah, now I'll also echo what you just said out about sort of looking at Bookmap and looking at options and so forth. And John, I know you're on the mic as well. This week, particularly on NQ in ETH, there's been some monster liquidity levels. I mean, you've seen this as well, Jack, sort of like 400-500 in the morning, in the London morning on NQs. It's been spoofing Moby off as well. John, help me, please, sir.
Yeah, it really has been incredible. Large liquidity, and it's a great guide. And in
Yes.
addition to what Jack was saying, he made some great points, but I think it's been fascinating to watch the connection between Bookmap order flow and option flow as it's illustrated and presented by Hero. So lots of times, we'll see Heroes start to reverse and then you'll changes in liquidity on the
Yes.
order book, and it's amazing to watch that connection between the two. It's a great indicator. It's a great guide, but there's without question there's a connection between the two, between option flow and order flow, and you can see it between Bookmap and Hero.
Yeah, that's
very much.
one of the things I've been focusing on. It was like today, there's kind of some disparity, really sharp movements down on the option
Dilution.
flow, but the ES really didn't respond to it. But
No.
Today
Yeah,
was
it's
very weird. Today was very sideways. In Bookmap too. Like there's just parts where it didn't make sense to me.
Vinny, you have any comments? Stan.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is Vinny, Valley fan. How you doing?
hey, what's up, man? How you been
Good,
doing
good.
with cams the last week?
Good. I'm working it, man. I'm working it. Yeah. So, thanks for you and Thor for having that conversation with me a few days ago. It was just outstanding. And regarding your trade over here, yeah, I see your trade here with the AMD. I've been working on this one as well this week. PLTR. I think you can see. I made a post about that as well. And those are the big 2 or 3 of them: AMD, ARM, and PLTR. And this one that you have here is I was actually on this trade earlier in the morning because there was a supply and demand zone that it popped up out of
Yeah.
pre-market. You know what I'm talking about, right? Did you see
Yeah,
that?
well, yeah, Thor caught that trade.
Oh, he did. He got it too.
I
Okay.
slept in. Yeah, I slept in yesterday and missed that
Okay.
one. This was like the only one I was able to grab yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah, I
okay. So
missed the big one.
Okay, so this is the one that you got. Yeah, I was looking at that. I'll tell you. The better one was actually early in the morning. You're right. And this one, when you're looking at it, you can see if you really, really, tune in on it, you can see there is a higher low with this one, right in your neighborhood that you have there. At least from looking at the candlestick chart, I can see I have it up on my candlestick chart. I can see where you took it. There you go, Bruce. Nice one. And so exactly. And then also it looks like I don't know if you had the 200 moving average up there too, but it looks like it went right up to part of your target where your exit was. But I got the 5-minute one up there. So the 2-minute one. So I was able to go ahead and see. I don't know if you use a 200 moving average. Do you at all?
I don't use a 200. No, I
No, I
use
think
a
that's a
9,
short-term EMA. Yeah, that's a
20
9. Isn't it?
EMA, and then a 50 SMA is what I use.
50.
And
Okay.
that's just like a basically like a lagging trend indicator
Sure.
for me and watching those
Short-term
moving
lagger.
averages.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
just a trend.
Exactly.
It just makes sure you're in the direction of the trend. That's all it is.
Yeah. And watching when that trend changes and then how it goes over the 5-minute chart, then the 15 and so on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Blaze, keep
Yeah.
asking questions if you have more, buddy. I'll keep answering them. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Other
guys.
than that, thank you very much. Next one.
Okay, Stan, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, the only thing for me, I find a bit aggressive due to the strong selling than we can see on Bookmap. But as you said, you had your hero chart and you have your setup, so that's great. But that's the only thing that I would say.
Yeah, as the
And you
Microsoft
should
one you
read
guys
it.
covered, you covered last week. That one, it was basically the same kind of entry off of that one, but that one I felt I had a lot of things going for that one, but not everything I wanted. And so that first entry, I kind of cringed while I was in the trade, and I went in full
That's
size,
rough. It was rough. Yeah.
and then I doubled up when I actually saw, oh, that's the entry there. Okay,
It
and
was
it
an
went
aggressive
for
entry.
me.
That's in your note. Because I mean, you got to think you fell $2. You fell $1, consolidated, fell another $1, and then you reversed. I
Yeah.
mean, you caught a falling knife.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was like, it's one of those things where I cringe. I look at it. I'm like, I don't want this to become normal. Like
I bet
this
though,
wasn't a
honestly.
comfortable trade, but this one I felt very, very confident
Well,
about that
I don't
entry.
dislike the trade, honestly. I really don't dislike the trade. My issue is literally just I bet that there's a lot more context in that 10 minutes that's compressed into that single triangle
Mhm.
in Bookmap that we just can't see, right?
Yeah.
And that matters, right? And especially for our review, right? Like it's great that we get images. I love to be able to show the images side by side, but for our journal is the most important part in my
Yeah.
opinion. So just make sure we're getting that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a couple of comments. I kind of go along with Stan. That I know it's aggressive, and there's some momentum here to the downside, and it could have easily come back. But we've seen you take this trade so many times. This is what you do.
It's a bread and butter one.
You look for your cam, and you look for basically. I mean, if you put some of these candles together, this would be like a hammer, or I forget, whatever it is, like with the big long wick though. And that's what you look for at your cam levels, and you give it a shot, and if it goes through, you take a small loss and look for the next cam level, basically. So, and we've seen you do this so many times, so I'm okay with that. If that's what you do, I mean, this is like Jack had mentioned, or somebody had mentioned, like it's kind of like catching a falling knife, and I mean, I don't really see anything in here to justify the trade. As Stan said, first off, you have your cam level, and you had an option level. But order flow wise, I mean, here's what I see in Bookmap, and I think it is valid stuff here. Like, okay, high liquidity filled in here. There's simply more supply. High liquidity on the bid filled in here. Now we know there's buyers now. They're getting filled, and there's a reaction, comes back to retest the buyers here, and it comes back down. I don't see any liquidity in here, and there might be some high liquidity that comes in some of these pockets, but we don't see that longer term high liquidity. So this is a flush through. This is really the level, I think, and just because this is where they got filled, this just flushes through, is probably nice big juicy stop run, and that's where, like, it's possible then, like, it's too bad we don't have stops in stocks, but man, would I love to see that be a big stop run and then just wait for those aggressors to come in. I would be probably looking at it around here, and looking for those aggressors, and yeah, I like you taking it off here at the top, but I'd probably be shooting for maybe up here. Hard to say though, because I don't see higher time frame stuff to understand like what levels it might go to.
Well, I will say I was watching price action all the way till that first test of 117.
Yeah.
And I watched it. It got absorbed, bounced off, came back down, got absorbed, bounced off, and then it started to make some higher highs. But I still wanted that R4 level to be tested. I wanted it to get down to there and see if I could get like an algorithm to react to it. And so to me, I read that next push through 117 as a trap. As soon as it hit R4, the selling just got stuffed.
Yeah.
Like it just stopped selling, and it could not. I was just watching the tape and watching Bookmap, and it just got stuffed.
I have no doubt
And
that
then
there is a ton
it
of
kicked
absorption.
up, and then every new 1 minute high, it kicked up again. And anytime selling or anything hit the tape, buying automatically followed. And I was like, okay, they've got these sellers trapped right now. So that's the entry, and then for the break higher.
Okay. I mean, I really see this as a stop run more than anything else. I mean, there might be new sellers, hitting the bid in here, but to me, it looks like it's a flush through, and there's really not a lot of buyers on the bid. It's just anyone that's long or anyone that just can't take the pain anymore. This is them, and I don't know. If we saw these big levels of liquidity in here, that would be a different story. But they're just at the figure here at 117, like you said, and you saw that. So people buying off of 117, yeah, they got hurt in here. Is what it looks like to me. We don't know. We certainly don't see the high liquidity, but we don't know if they're stops or not. Just by the price action, I speculate on that. That's all.
Yeah, just on the video. If you want to go watch it, you can watch. It's a great video if you want to see what it looks like when aggressive selling's getting absorbed, and those buyers really start to come back in and react to any of that kind of aggressive selling. And
Yeah,
that's what I was
I
seeing,
really don't
kind of
think
on that off that level.
I would say this is not absorption.
Okay.
But that's absorption is this over here.
Okay.
And I mean, it could be unless there are a lot of icebergs, which we again we don't see. But that this is absorption here. You know, it has to be absorbed by the passive orders.
Okay.
And this would be kind of more of a. It looks like a sweep, which is typically a sweep is a stop run. But,
Okay.
Well, the absorption in the video I thought he was talking about when he mentioned it was actually like right around his entry point, like not on the fall down, but as it picked back up and you start seeing buying increase there, the first two green orbs right there, that's essentially like 10 minutes of time compressed into there right there. But in that time, there is quite a bit of back and forth trading right there. It's pretty large orders getting filled.
Okay. I mean, if you, I don't know. It's hard to say because the triangle covers it up.
Yeah.
But maybe
And it's compressed.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson literally for everybody in the Academy submitting images. Like, we're guessing right now because the image time is compressed, right? The key crux of the decision, the entry point, the point where you either make or lose money, you need to be able to see what's going on at that point, right? Like, it's hard to tell a story about why you entered something when you zoom out 50 feet away, right?
So, Nathan, I'm just kind of curious. Did it come up here to 118?
Well, yeah, I kept running for the rest of the day. Yeah, it bounced again
Okay.
off that level, and it kept running for the rest of the day. I think I probably could have got a 3-to-1 out of it, not quite a 4-to-1. So it's also something I'm tracking in my trades to see how often I get to 3-to-1, 4-to-1s. Hopefully, I can extend that out later.
Okay.
My man tracking stats.
Right?
How many times have I heard Bruce tell you, write down your stats. Once you have a system, write it down. After you've had it written down, you can generate a back test. You have stats now.
Yeah, I like to know how far trades go against me. I like to know how far they go for me. I like to know, what my RVR was on that trade or what I could have gotten. So those are things that I really track and like pay attention to.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, so we went about half an hour on that one. Sorry, guys. I think we should probably move
well done,
on.
Bruce. Awesome.
All right, thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Jack. All right, so let's move on here, and I think let's see, over to Stan. How about you? Would you like to step up here? All right.
I have Malik Saddam.
And I believe he's here. Yeah.
Or fantasy, yeah, but as you said.
I thought I saw him earlier. Well, let's go over
Fantasy?
Yeah, let's go over fantasy. I know that he's not here, but he was inquiring about his setups. So all right, take it away, Stan.
Yeah, great. So yeah, overall nice chart. I really like it. You are really focusing on the order flow, and I think it's very great. So I like the checklist that you made, plus all the explanation of it. The note on the chart is very clean, so that's it's easier for us. I think it will be good to have a bigger picture, to have a better context. That's good to see your trade in Bookmap. I will just say maybe for the entry, as I said, for Valifan, a little bit aggressive if we look for the selling volume by dots or by the relative. It's yeah, there is sellers. Even if we got buyers before, got absorbed in the passive liquidity. I find a little bit early, but still, you were waiting for your pullback. Then buyers came in. You had your so your setup. You took it, and that's great. The profit I find good too. You get your you have your interest points where you had your limit. I just think no, you have to bet it too. But maybe consider to take some upfront of the liquidity. Might be something to consider. It may act as an obstacle. And yeah, that yeah, just focusing maybe on the behavior for the entry. The stops make sense below the previous low, and as you said, it was a trading stop, so makes sense. No, great trade. You are highlighting the good points. I just think you have to repeat it. Maybe go in replay mode and do it again. But really great setup. Plus conferences. So yeah, that will be the main thing that I will say about it. I don't know if Jack or David, Vinny, you have anything to add?
I really like this setup. You know, I mean, this is a really solid setting for a trend trade, right? Like you got a strong impulse, then all of a sudden you got a large number of buyers jumping in, right? Right at a level. That's pretty nice, but you don't want to enter right away. So you wait for a pullback. And he gets his pullback down to 3, right? And then at that point, he's looking to get it long and he sees some buying pick up and stuff like that. I think the entry at 1 from that context, like zooming out at like the longer trend, I think it's pretty solid. But if he's just looking at what we see on the chart from that strong buying, I think that this entry would have been a little bit aggressive, right? Because we got that strong buying, but then we've got strong selling afterwards. Like the buying just went away. So are they just uninterested now? Was that it? So it would be really hard with just that context to be long here. But other than that, I really like it. I really like what he's doing. I would be curious if you would be trying to take runners and what your targets would be for those cases. I think that can be a next step that's really good to kind of figure out for yourself, because where it is on your comfort, right? Because where you want me to take my profits at is going to be way different than you. You don't want to play the same game sometimes. David's in and out scalping. He'll scalp ticks, you know, and that's rough.
On
So
NQ.
yeah. But so those things are kind of next steps. Like this is where I would have wanted to be my profit target, and put it on your chart. Just draw a little box with the Bookmap drawing tools on there so that you know where you were looking, and then see what happens. You will find that as you start doing this, you start seeing patterns faster than you can actually put them on paper, because humans are pretty good at recognizing patterns and seeing things. So I think that'd be a really good step. But other than that, I think overall the trade is really good from that kind of larger lens.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. I'd also echo. I think it is a little bit aggressive. I know that's sort of tongue in cheek from someone like me, as you've just said, Jack. A little bit aggressive, but I can see that pattern. I can see that level at 2 that you've marked up. But it is a little bit bold, particularly at that selling that happens on 3. And of course, Monday morning quarterback, you and me, Bruce, when we see the volume kicking at 6, then that perhaps looks a tastier place to get in. There's liquidity all over the place that I know Stan and John will talk to. Is this a London close time here, guys? Is it 11:30?
He's in Australia, I believe, so I really don't know what time it is.
So you gotta carry the 1 and divide by pi.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, this is a Moby thing. I mean, this is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know where in Australia, so that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's hard to determine.
Sure. But yeah, but it worked out clearly. But yeah, a little bit aggressive. That's for sure. Stan, please.
Yeah, go ahead, Vinny, if you have anything to add.
Oh, Vinny, yeah. Yeah, no, just looking at it, just real quick, I can see he has his checklist, set out for him on the top left. I noticed his time scale was in, I believe it's in seconds or 15 seconds. So he was really zooming in on this pretty tight, and it looked like it was just about a 4-minute trade. And I think he got about, what, 4 or 5 points out of that one. So, yeah, so I echo what Jack had to say earlier, and otherwise that's it.
Yeah, perfect. But I really like the fact that you are highlighting and making notes about other four elements, and I think it's where you already gain something from Bookmap. And then Bruce, if you have a word.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. I echo that about the and Vinny. I mean, with the checklist. Vinny, you've really made that like that's your signature. Is fantastic. It's really I think helped a lot of people. So way to go with the checklist. I know you're looking at some other levels in here, higher time frame levels, from yesterday's point of control, etc. And it aligns very nicely with liquidity. You also have an order flow event up here, which is fantastic. So you have a sweep, and you see the beautiful sweep right here. So you know that people are likely getting stopped out up into that area. But I just don't see. It's hard to see like what's kind of going on here previously for me, and this is something that I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have taken. Just because like I need to see more, but like there's high liquidity here, it's filled, and then we see the sellers, and there's some pretty good selling here. This could just be, this is a low volume pullback, and this could very easily turn right around. But again, I don't know where we came from. It's hard to tell. But to me, it looks like there's some quite a bit of risk from what I see here. So where I do see it change is right here, and that's where we're back up above that selling, and we see more buyers and more buying interest. Now you're not getting too much out of that. I mean, there's high liquidity here, and then up in here, and I would probably be taking my profit, to be honest, like probably 1 tick or 2 ticks in front of that high liquidity right there. So I don't know. I mean, like I wouldn't. There's no way I would have gotten 5 points out of this. But I would have looked at it much more conservatively from my point of view here. But yeah, I love the some of the markups, and some of the order flow stuff, the sweeps especially with the high liquidity, and yeah. Anyway, that's what I see.
Great shout. Great
Yeah,
shout.
Yeah, great chat.
Uh,
Nothing more for me. So
Nothing more. All right. Let's move on and let's try to get some guys up here on stage. So let's see here. Who do we got? Okay. Well, we have Shark, that's for sure. We have got Laura. She's not in. And let's see.
I can't see Rob either, though sometimes Laura is in or on YouTube, isn't she? So
Yeah, that's true. And she might pop in. And
she
then
might pop in.
let's see. We've got Rob. I don't see Rob in.
Not at the moment.
And then who else do you have? You have Steven. Let's go over Steven. It's been a while. So Steven, get your mic all connected and hooked up, and let's get you up on stage, and we'll get started here. This is with Vinny. Sorry, I
Yes.
thought it was David. It was no, it's Vinny, and boy, it's unmistakably Vinny. You can see that.
Blazing trail by Vinny.
Well, I don't mean to, but
No, it's
yeah.
great. It's great. I love the efforts in here. It's fantastic, Vinny.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Steven, how you doing, buddy? Are you on the mic?
Let me invite him up to the stage first. There he is.
Right.
Hello.
Yes.
Steven, how you doing?
I'm good and you. How are you guys?
Great, thank you. Great, yes. And yeah, I was reviewing your trade last night. I mean, I was on it for about an hour, just really zooming in and I wanted to just to look at you know your portion of the trade that you had here. And I really kind of broke it down in segments. I think you pretty much had that as well. And you focus on the right side of it. And I actually have three panes up over here. And you're going to see that by the third pane, it actually, I was able to figure it all out. This is just, it was a great pattern setup that you have over here. And you actually took, I believe, the right side of this trade. Yeah, the good, you had the date, the time, you had the arrows, which I was really able to follow, and you labeled where you're entered and your targets were. That was really great. You took this short, and I could see up you went ahead. You had liquid resistance up there, and you waited for the pullback into a lower high, and you had your entry, and then you took it down for your target for V pocket, and that was for 10 points, if I got that right. Then you had another pullback, and then you took it down to 16 points. I guess my question would be to you, did you ever consider VWAP as a target at all for an exit? And you mentioned it earlier in one of your posts. You commented that the market sells off, but you weren't really sure why. And so I wanted to ask you, are you sure now? And if you are, why was that? So would you mind just going over your trade just a little bit, if that's okay?
Okay, sure. I'm just trying to remember what trade this was. Well, context was we opened higher outside of range. It opened near the overnight high. I think above or near the overnight VPOC. These are levels that I consider. The first move of the market, we sold off. And then I just waited. So that was the market telling me that we're going south, we're going down. And then I just waited for my criteria. So basically, I missed the first pullback, but then I waited for the second pullback. And so this screenshot, you're seeing that it basically took the lower high stops and liquidity. And you see the market, the buyers taking the price up, takes the liquidity. You can see my trend line that it broke, that little yellow line. And then so that's already telling me, that's already like, I think that's 4 points of my criteria. And then I've got range to the POC. I normally take targets at the POC. You mentioned now, why not take targets at the VWAP? Well, yeah, that would be, I guess, a good idea as well. Generally, like I said, I take it at VPOC or POC, and I front ran my target one. I use an ATM, so it like places all my targets at specific points. So I think this was 5 points. Where did I get in? Yeah, I got in quite high, so at 39.
Yeah, it looks like you got in pretty 58.40ish, and it took it right on down to your VPOC down there. So that was what I saw. I mean, and maybe I got it wrong, but it looks like you got about 10 points out of that. And regarding VPOC, Can you just explain that a little bit to the audience, what VPOC is, if you don't mind? Those who may not know.
That's like retail, the most traded level. Point of control. With a profile, you can see that that's a very interested area. But in this case, I front run I think what I normally do, well, normally my ATM places the orders. So I think in this trade, I notice, oh, POC is way lower. So I might as well just, put it near. But sometimes, and you can see I hit it on the, well, I just got this trade because I put my targets a bit late, but it hit it and it bounced off. So that pullback, the lower high, that is by the mid line. That could be considered a second chance entry to get short as well. But also I had location. So yeah, if you go to the other slides, you'll see what I mean, where I missed the first pullback. The
Okay,
bottom slide.
Yeah, I don't have that other one because
Oh, you don't
what
have
I
it.
did was, no, that's okay, Bruce. Yeah, can you go to that one that you have right up there? Yeah, that middle
This
one,
one?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Is this another
please.
trade?
No,
No,
this
this
is your same trade because because you just mentioned it, and that's why I want to lead right into this. That was a great
right.
great lead. Yeah, it was a great lead in because
Hmm.
when I looked at this, when I looked at your trade, I looked at an alternate setup because exactly what you said. I saw the breakout, and here's your liquid resistance, right? Then it came down, came back up, and then you had your breakout because I saw support turned into resistance. And just what you had just said, it went down to your VPOC where you exited, and then it bounced up and retested, and that's where your resistance is. That might have been something that others may look at as an entry for a trade. Would you just mention your second one?
Yeah, before I would give the name second chance entry. So if you would happen to miss the first opportunity, that would be considered a second chance to get in. But yeah, it actually worked out quite nicely here. But the more conservative and following my checklist is break of that trend line, pull back, short. And yeah, you don't have the other slides, but it's got all that context. It's got the higher time frame zone, strong break, the pullback, strong absorption, which is that area where you marking where it breaks the trend line, the little lower high. Also, you could say that's like a fractal. It's I don't know, a bit nuanced maybe. And then your approach the setup that you've marked here is got more conviction and more confirmation, where support turns into resistance.
Yeah, exactly right. You had so this was an alternate, a secondary setup that went right into what you had mentioned. So that was a good team or combination here. That was excellent lead in. And if we're done with this slide, I just wanted to go ahead and go to your third one, and then once I finish the third one, we can let all the other coaches come in and chime in. And now this is the one that you mentioned. Your previous.
That's the context.
Yeah. Now I wanted to bring this up real quick because I actually saw this long a little bit better. Okay, because there was a weekly demand zone down there, and Bruce has videos on supplying demand zones. But I actually saw this a little bit better for a long prior to your short because there was also liquid support there. It went into your weekly demand zone. You had a pop up just like you had your arrows in there. It was really perfect, and then it retested that demand zone, and then it just took off right into your liquid target of 12 points. And yeah, so this was another opportunity for a long. I don't know if you had noticed this prior to your short, and maybe you can just add on to whatever you would like, comment about this if you don't mind.
Yeah, I did see that. But I had to follow my plan, so
Good.
I was queuing in shorts. I can't remember what happened after this. Hold on, let me see here. But
Now, was that because of the trend of the day was short?
I can't remember. I need to see my charts to be able to answer that. But I think it turned bullish, right? Wait, hold on. Let's see here. Yeah, it ended up going bullish at the end of the day. Well, we had another push down actually. We had
Right.
another push down, which took out the low of day, and you can see I took a 2 contract short here. I got both targets. Yeah, it's actually a lovely range because usually my first target scale is 5 points, and then this is a different type. I've got like ATM strategies. Basically, it's like automated trade management. It you know it keeps you from micromanaging, but sometimes I can change it as well. Reason why I changed here is because of the POC, and it was a nice big range. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna abuse this trade. But I did try to front run because 10 points is more than enough, and yeah, it worked out quite nicely. I don't know, I got no complaints. But
no, you had
it
the
was
short
rough
and
when it was rough when the context turned and it pushed higher because I was queued in for shorts, but then I think my next trade I got taken out. I can't remember. I have to go back and
Okay.
check. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice job, and yeah, you had opportunities for both a long and a short. And then when I went through everything, I was able to put all the pieces together. And so bravo to you. And let's throw 911 help, David.
Help indeed. Lovely chatting, Stephen. Great to see. What I'm going to chip on here is I'm going to sound like a salesman here, Bruce, but just the beauty that we see within Bookmap. Those sharp V's, whether it's a V at the bottom or V at the top, etc. These are the things that I really look for when I'm just scalping away, as Jack says, when David's trying to take 2 ticks off NQ sort of thing, where you get that flush up or flush down, and then I'm looking at the volume bars, seeing where they're building up. We saw quite a lot of that today. Sharp V's or upside down V's, I've got to think of the right letters for it. And then the delta bars going the right way. It is such a strong signal for me anyway as a scalper, just to be able to get in, take some money out and get out. And then within that overall thing we've talked about in terms of higher lows, lower highs, etc., rinse that in with the various bits of liquidity that Stan or John would talk to, and it's a scalper's paradise. The thing I'd say to you, Stephen, on some of these, whether it's moving fast and moving down, how's your scaling going these days, please?
How's my scaling?
Yeah, are you scaling when this starts to shift? Are you looking to add a little bit more, or is this a set trade where you've got 1 or 2 in, and then you're looking 1 or 2 out?
Yeah, at the moment, because I've been on a slow bleed for a while.
Okay.
Since April when the volatility picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also switched to some, and yeah, so I'll be more selective. And then I also changed my position size lower. So this is a 2 contract setup.
Sense.
Yeah, you can also see on the slide, I tried to take that first lower high.
Yes.
And I need, that confirmation, strong absorption and the break of the trend line and a pullback. And it never came back. So I took those orders off. Then you see I got my setup, it traded into that liquidity, failed to take the liquidity on the offer. And then, I got that break and a pullback and short. So yeah, I haven't been trying any ads or anything. Yeah, I've just been focusing on my trade plan. Last night I put like an all-nighter, trying to clarify it. And then funny enough, today, with all that work and study and everything, I didn't get enough sleep going to today's market, and I misread the context. But I quickly got back on the horse, and yeah, I had some good trades.
And how's Ninja treating you at the moment?
It's been good. I've also made a change where I got a new charting platform software.
Nice.
And I was trying with that, and then when you're learning new software, you also make mistakes and working out glitches. I had to go back to Ninja, but I use that for my levels to export, so that's made my life so much easier now with the cloud notes on Bookmap. I don't know if you guys can see, but my charts now have a bit more info.
Yeah, beautiful charts.
Yeah, so that helps with your mental capital. You don't need to waste that in the morning trying to input that manually. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh, really good.
exciting.
Really good. Well played. I'm going to throw the mic over to John because I can see he's come back before you, Stan, if you don't mind. John, sir.
Yes, sir. Just a quick test. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
loud and clear.
Yeah, Stephen, it looks great in general, and I can follow your thought process. I still think your charts are a bit busy, at least from my eyes, because I'm trying to look through a lot of the information that's on here, and to me, I'm just not sure how it helps you to make good decisions. You can see where the pockets of liquidity are located and how you're trading back and forth. I'm just not seeing why a lot of this other information really helps you in your decision process. It seems like to me you could see it a bit more clearly if that were not included. But in general, I follow what you're saying. You're following the liquidity, which is great. But it looks a little busy to me. I would love. I'd like to know how you use the Trader Map Pro. I see the tab up there. Do you use that for like a larger time frame analysis to set up your work?
Yeah, okay, I'll quickly answer that, and then I just want you to elaborate what stuff is maybe cluttering. In terms of the Trader Map Pro, so I have 4 windows. The host, the main chart, that is completely zoomed out. It's got the icebergs and the stops sub chart at the bottom, and it's got all my levels with SG column as well. That's giving me foot wall and call wall and all that.
Okay.
And then the next tab is, I think, what one is that? I think it's telling me about, it's not the bot remover, it's the other one. It's slipping my mind now, but that's slightly more zoomed in, and it's looking for long-term liquidity. It's also kind of removing the bot activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the bot remover that I focus on the last 2 swings, and then I'm trying to kind of see if there's any LVNs or HVN levels that I should maybe pay attention. And I've got the chart volume profile, on the right hand side, and then again with all the levels, with all the VHVN levels. Now that's the VPOC, as it's shifting, because those are locations that if we test it, it could be a possible level where I want to get engaged. Where I would look to get involved in.
Okay. I understand. I guess just to expand a little bit about what I was saying, to me, in real time when we're working, it's the liquidity that confirms these areas for me. So, and I tried to POC and I've plotted the VPOC and I'm just in different even different variations of VWAP. And in the end, what's important in real time when I'm trading is where the liquidity is. If it lines up with these levels that I have on my screen, great. If not, then I'm going to look past them. So I just decided, why have them? If I'm going to be focused towards liquidity anyway, it just helped me to see really the auction process a little bit more clear without a lot of the measurements. Because like I said, I would load them all up and then I would be trying to look past them to see where the liquidity is. Because to me, that's where Bookmap shines. It's showing you where the interest is in real time. And that's all I was getting at.
The Trader Map Lite, I have that more zoomed in so I can see the fractals.
Okay.
In this slide, I've got it zoomed out so you can see my trade history lines, because I can only trade on one chart. The second tab, that is the Trader Map Pro. So I've got, I think, the time filter in there, and I think the size. I can't remember right now. But yeah, so the first chart, very zoomed out, looking at the forest, and then it goes closer and closer, and then trader map light, I'm looking at a couple trees.
Okay.
I don't know.
All
But
right.
yeah, so how I work is I need to fit it into context. So relative to what, and
Mhm.
that's why I have so many tabs.
Okay. Okay.
But I'll
Very good.
consider what you're saying.
Well,
It
it's
makes
just a
sense as
thought.
well.
We're all different in that respect, and I don't want to steer you off what you're comfortable with. That's the most important thing. But I think you're progressing nicely. You can see it as you submit your charts into the Discord channel. You can see how you're progressing. I think it's great. So just keep on going on. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I totally agree. Bookmap is definitely the main key. Like you can see where I put my targets. I front run it before liquidity
Mhm.
as well. So
Mhm.
there is
Very
a reason
powerful.
for doing so.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so sorry guys, I don't know who else hasn't commented here. Stan, maybe, or
Yeah, for me, yeah, just keep going. You're doing strong work. Um, it's
Coming along.
much more, yeah, but it's much clearer than yeah previously. I mean, you know what you're doing. You are improving. Just keep ahead. And yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Perfect. Bruce, can you pull up my chart stuck in the chat, please? Here goes David
sure.
again. just to re-emphasize to everyone about those V's. So this is today. I'm sure a lot of us were trading. This is on NASDAQ. And that just sharp breakdown through POC. I know all of you will have some, technical sweeps and absorption, but I look for these all the time. I really do. When I'm looking across, there's some ice coming in a little bit later, building of those green delta bars, and the market then absolutely moon pigged. John will be talking about the liquidity much further up and all the other sort of bits and bobs. But I love these. These are such great signals to me. And if you look back over your charts on replay, you will see these really sharp sort of moves, and they're the way to go for me. They really are. I play them so much. I really do. As you know, Bruce, you know how I slap it around like this.
But usually you're waiting till right around in here someplace, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
That's it.
you start to see
Yeah,
that volume come in, and you got it now.
I've got it. Yeah, yeah.
And
Because I've got the sharp line down, which is sort of again, the guys that see me in Discord, I call that sort of ML, machine led, where you see that sort of, you can literally put a ruler on your screen and it's ticking out whether it's 80 degrees, whichever angle you want to call it. And then, I'm getting as you showed. Yeah, very much.
Bruce, that little block that you indicated, that's kind of what I'm shifting my execution to as well. And it
Nice.
helps, like if you put a trend line there, it breaks, and then you get that pullback sometimes. In this case, I don't think you get a pullback here, but
no, you
it's quite
don't.
important to get that pullback. Sometimes it doesn't give it to you.
Yeah. I actually, I've got a few comments on trend lines and pullbacks that might be helpful for you, Stephen. So number one, like this is already in a pretty strong uptrend. I can't see much here, but I mean, just based off of this, and it's still making higher highs. I'm kind of thinking this is probably uptrend. And this is a kind of a flush out type of thing. And kind of retest where it broke from here, traded into high liquidity along the way. And it stops everybody out, but then people scoop it right back up. And then people like David are like just with full force pushing
Breaking
behind this thing, just like with a whip, just cracking that whip on it, come on. And like
Come on,
and
London closed.
exactly. And it's
Yes, you do.
smart because this is at a discount in an uptrend. You're not gonna get I mean, a lot of times you won't get that pullback, and that this is why. And it's one of the reasons why I feel I don't, I mean, I think there are many reasons in for that, but like these areas down in here are thinly traded in an uptrend, typically, and your pullback is in here after it's already retested where it dropped from, and there's some risk in here on that, and it's really
I
back
would
up into
consider
here.
that one. Yeah, that's too far.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe it would be a little less risky up in here. You can kind of see it starting to come. It'll probably test up into that high liquidity here, and maybe you'll get that trend continuation. You can take some off, maybe at least, and you do get another pullback. And there's other opportunities in here, I guess. But anyway, Stephen, one thing so that was the pullback. I just wanted to mention something about the trend lines, and it kind of scared me a little bit. I shouldn't use that word. It's because it scares John. I said, John, it scares me, and like he's like, what is this guy talking about? Like, it's like, geez, okay.
All the time he uses that word to me. I could scream.
Exactly. So anyway, let me elaborate though. The trend line is such an easy thing to put on the chart, and it's so visual. It's not really about the trend line, like you had showed in this chart previously here, not this one, but this one, and that you're introducing trend lines. That's great. However, like I would just caution on the trend line, like look for the liquidity up in here, and now look for it, because a break of the trend line is just a kind of a technical level, or it seems to be kind of, this is the value area up in the uptrend here as price explores higher. That's the way I kind of view it, but however you want. But these areas in here, like this is where you're getting much more information. Like these are the passive sellers, passive sellers, passive sellers, passive sellers. How much more do they have? How much more buying pressure do the aggressors have? And then you can see that value area is now shifting. That diagonal value area is shifting, and so we get a break of a trend line. And now we're at this kind of level where like Wyckoff talks about it, distribution, and now we have high liquidity up here, and we're starting to see sellers come in too. There's some pockets of selling in here. It's kind of hard to see down in the chart, bar chart, but you can start to see some selling in the dots here. And I'm seeing no buyers up in here, or very little up in here, and there's high liquidity. So you're recognizing that after the trend line break. But again, like, okay, it's breaking the trend line, but it's not. I would just pair that with the order flow that you see in the transactions. And another thing on the trend line breaking too is that this has been a pretty sharp move, and maybe at this point, maybe it's a little, I don't know, I can't see anything to the left here, but maybe it's a little overbought at this point, and you're not going to find buyers up here. You're going to find buyers maybe down here, or maybe down here, and in fact you don't. It went right through both of those areas, but nonetheless, maybe it's just too high at this point. It's auctioned up here, and we're not going to find buyers anymore. In fact, you're finding sellers, passive sellers. So that together with this kind of diagonal kind of value area is now shifting value, and maybe that's helpful to think of it that way. Another thing, and I think this is probably my best comment I can give is, I think this will be really good for you, Stephen. Personally, is it's part. Hold on, let me bring up that course just a second here. It is actually from that course here. This one, the trend line break and accumulation. But you know, this what's so, and this is why I want to rename this one, and I just haven't. You know, I have to check with the development team, or if it's going to cause, or support team, if it's going to stir up things. But look for all of these guys here passively buying, right? And then now we're looking for a turn though. And when is that turn going to happen? Here's your flush through. This is just like Valley's chart. Valley fan. So here, this is the level. This is where we found the passive, the aggressive sellers found the passive buyers, right? No question. And now we want to look for the aggressive buyers to come in. So the passive buyers, they're filled. And we get one more push down to here, but it's you know, it's likely also just stop run, flush through, whatever, because it looks like this is the figure here, I believe. Yeah, that's the 2100 figure right there. So now we're looking for the aggressive buyers. Now we also have our diagonal trend line, and again, it's not so much the trend line, it is this transition from the passive buying to the aggressive buying, and it being potentially oversold. Vinny had marked that up. And then look for this though, because these can really turn into some powerful moves. And you're starting to note that on this chart here. So I would look more and more into that, because I think you're starting. It sounds like you're starting to take things away, because you've looked at many different things and you've studied many different things. So start taking things away. Kind of like John was saying about your, making your charts a little simpler, and finding the things that work for you, and then just get better at studying those things. Don't add more. Just rely on those things. The nice thing that I really personally I really like about this setup in here is that this is what I've got on my side. I've got all these buyers here. Okay, they're on my side. Well, or if it doesn't matter if they're taking profit or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still buying, right? And they're still getting filled by aggressive sellers. So I've got them on my side, and now I've got the aggressors on my side as well. If I don't have the aggressors on, if I don't have the passive buyers on my side, but I have the aggressive buyers, many times I've seen price will go up to some of these areas in here, and that's as far as it goes, right? It will go up here, it'll come back down here, it'll shake around in here. It doesn't know what to do, because it's not leaning on these guys here. If it can lean on these guys here, and then you get these aggressors in here, I mean, you just can get some really beautiful moves. Yeah. So I don't know. It's something to look into. We'll cover again and again in the webinars. But we'll start to put this together, and I think this kind of matches your style. So maybe it's something more to look into. Mm-hmm. Coaches, Stephen, help me out here. I dug a hole.
Go on, Stephen.
We'll give you a ladder. Yeah, I am trying to focus more on simplicity, but I can make it more simple. I think Stan will be happy that I have a checklist.
Yes.
It's yeah. I'm also trying to simplify, but yeah, I hear what you're saying and everyone else.
Okay.
One of my big focuses at the moment is context.
Yeah.
But that's something that I need to incorporate. But there's so many moving pieces in a trade plan process as well. So yeah, but I guess also that's making it complicated. But I don't know. It's a weird balance. It's a challenge that I thought I should mention. That
But
I'm still kind of
this is
figuring out.
like we just I hear you, and I always like kind of joke like this is the C word, and because it sounds like such a cop out, oh well, it's the context. How do I know about I see the aggressors come in, and why did price stop and reverse? Oh well, it's the context. And like, I mean, yeah, you can justify it, you can see it afterwards, but again though, like, what do we know as as prices coming up in here? The context is here, right? These guys are getting filled,
Yeah.
and so we know that like sellers have absorbed. Well, these weren't absorbed, they traded through, but this is absorbed, and that did it, right? There was no,
Yeah.
it never
It was
came
not
back.
huge.
This was the high. And there's even more sellers up here. And they don't even get touched. So there's your context. Now you're looking for the aggressors. And you saw them here. You totally nailed it. You got a low volume pullback here. And now you're looking for them to take it down, and you've got your reasons for your target, well, POC or VWAP, or you can go with like John's high liquidity, or match them up. Maybe you took some off here as a little bit of risk, or here, and then you've got your runner, and then you do get another opportunity in here, like you had said. Now, this is a low volume pullback. I can see it here. So here, there's your low volume on the way back up. There's another potential entry somewhere in here. Maybe David would be, yeah, David would probably be right around in here as well.
Adding there.
Could be measuring it by then, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got his whip out.
My checklist
Bullwhip.
number 4.4 is strong absorption, and then number 5 checklist point is range, which is to POC.
Nice.
Which is for target. That's what that's kind of pointing at. And then obviously, your target 2 would be further. But yeah, I understand. Thank you for the points.
Yeah, sure. I like that you're bringing in kind of ATR. Like how much more. I think I always liked it. How much fuel is in the fuel tank in the market breadth, basically. How much buying pressure, selling pressure is there? This is where the market internals can really work for you as well. A lot of people look at the tick, the ticky, advancers, decliners, all that kind of stuff, as well as ATR. And then pair that with some of the order flow events in here that you see, and you got something really, really strong.
Yes.
All right, I think we flogged that one to death, but
We crushed it. Nice.
That's Jermaine, that one, Bruce. Great trade, Stephen.
Great.
Yeah, thank
Great
you.
stuff.
Thank you, Stephen.
Great stuff.
Look, we got John up next here. So, all right. This is, I'm sorry, this is Vinny. So, Vinny, oh, this ought to be great. I can't wait.
Let's bring it on. All right, John, I'm ready.
You're good.
All right. Here we go. All right, I actually have one frame. I have 2 frames for you, and the first one is exactly what your trade has. Again, the really good about your the good about your chart is hey, you got your checklist, you have your stops labeled, you have your targets labeled, you have a very systematic approach. Okay, and yeah, again, you shorted it. You have it labeled. You short. You have your stop. Looks like it's a very good reward to risk ratio. You have your target in place. I wanted to ask you about that. And then you have your liquidity way at the bottom over there for your target. And so my question to you is, did you short below, did you have your entry below VWAP? Was that your short? Also, was your stop above VWAP? Did you go ahead and use that? Because I'm just looking at that right now. Maybe I'm reading that incorrectly. And also your first target location. What was the reason for that one? And yeah, hey, take it away, John. You're the best. So go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, the VWAP is the solid line, and then you have the dotted line, which is the 2 standard deviation off of the VWAP line. Okay, so I like to be working on the favored side of VWAP. So if I'm looking to get short, I'd like for prices to be under VWAP. I'd like for VWAP to be compromised. So as we started, to the left of the chart, you can see where the price action, VWAP kind of acted like support until it was fractured. And that's an indicator for me. I want to work on the side of where VWAP has been compromised if I want to get short. And then my stop is just, coincidentally, it's over VWAP, but it's just over that last high where I got in. All right, so, and I keep them really close, and then my first target, there's a little bit of liquidity there at 28, and I'm just pretty quick about taking my targets, my first target, because it's a way in which I can harness the risk of participating. It puts a lid on my exposure, so that as soon as I reach that first target, I have a winning trade. I can pull that stop down even a little bit closer to break even and a little bit better, and then just ride it out. But I trade this in a way in which that first contract will determine whether or not I have a winning trade or not. And I kind of keep it realistic. And with the bonds, that's still a pretty good trade. You can get 7 ticks on the bonds. That's a pretty good ways, considering it's $31.25 a tick. So there's a little bit of money there. And then, of course, my target's going to be down at liquidity, and that always marks my target. That's consistent throughout my charts. Does that answer your question, Vinny?
Yeah, great. Yeah, and yeah,
But
let's go.
One thing I wanted to mention, Stephen was asking me about this a little bit earlier. One thing to consider, in terms of stop placement, is that I keep my stops really close. And the reason for that, and you can kind of see it here, there's liquidity up there at 09. And so you could make the case, well, that would be the better place for the stop. And for me, I'm not willing to do that. What I'm willing to do is take a small hit here. And if prices were to rally up and get up to 09, which is a possibility, it was up there before. And if it did the same thing where it went up and then reversed, well, that would be my second trade. So I go about my trading always thinking about, well, what am I going to do next? And the thing that I would do next here is that I would take the small hit and I would reload. And in fact, if prices were to go up to 09, put a stop run or a buy sweep, something like that, that would actually be the better trade. And I would be in on it. And I usually come in a little heavier. I'll put an extra couple of contracts on because I want a refund. I want my money back. And so that's the reason why I keep my stops really close, because I'm preparing for the trade after this doesn't work. Do you follow?
Yes, and I also wanted to add, now, if you can just clarify regarding quarters and ticks, what do you use? You said a tick for $31 a tick.
Yeah, I mean, every tick from 05 to 04 is $31.25 on the bond.
Okay, so you're using ticks. Got it. Okay.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, everything is equated to ticks. Yes, sir. When it comes to evaluating risk, everything is reduced down to ticks. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Okay. If there isn't anything else, let's throw it through. How about Stan? Stan the man.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, really like the fact that you are doing bonds too. I really like it. It's true that for me, I find like Ubase moving faster than the other one. I completely understand why you set your stop as close as your entry, almost. But it seems like, would you in this case maybe set it over the structure, for example? Because I note that for the how to say the actual on the structure, and so when I see like your white box, it seems a bit close for the bottom of the box. But yeah, that's so just about the stop placement, I will say for the UB. But yeah, you have your reason. So yeah, and maybe to have to see more the bigger order, like the diamond says, for example. I think that might help too for bonds.
Okay. Okay.
ZN, ZF, or ZB, UB. For all of them, I think it's great to see the bigger order.
hmm hmm
But yes, that's the only thing that I had.
And the stop placement, that did consider that that high level of buying activity. I noted that by number 4. There was a lot of buying right at that level at 04. And so when we broke that, that was of interest to me. Yeah. Market came back, challenged it again. But so I had to sweat a few ticks. But yeah, I follow what you're saying.
I don't know if anyone has anything to add.
David.
Yeah, it's a little bold, John, even for me. I've said that a few times now, Bruce.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's a little bold, but let
Oh
me
my.
contradict myself on that one, John.
Oh, I have to go
You've got,
look myself in the mirror. All right, go
yeah,
ahead.
David saying it's a bit bold, I know. You've got some lovely patterns here. You've got the lower lows, lower highs, that sort of thing. As you're aware, you at your 2 o'clock, you got that 7 o'clock in Europe when the European bourses are starting to sort of wake up and so forth. You then got that 7:30, which is your 2:30, where you've got those. I always call it some sort of forex fixes and other things going on, which could well be why that liquidity was pulled around that time zone of 7:30 UK time. Could well be that. But the pattern's there. The pattern is definitely there. The other thing I'd add, and I'm going to use my ML again here, Bruce, that machine learning. We see once the price starts to fall down, you can put a ruler to that. You can put a spirit level, if you take my sense. Yeah, that price has just been driven down to that liquidity. So any scaling going on, John?
Not on this one, but it would be a good spot. There's no question about it. Yeah, especially with so much liquidity down there, and that was really the pull for the trade. And it may have been the reason why I was aggressive, because I kept looking at that thinking, I know this is going to go. I know where it's
going
going.
to go there.
Yeah.
And it's steep. That angle is steep. I probably shared this before. When I used to trade forex, I'll have to dig it out of my shelf. I've got sort of like one of those 360-degree protractors, Bruce. I'll take it in a minute. And I would literally be measuring angles on charts, as crazy it sounds, thinking, okay, that's aggressive, right? Okay, here we go. Let's start spanking away. But it is, if you look at that line going down, that is like, yeah, we're going down, as you say, John. So no, lovely trading, buddy. Lovely. Love it. That's me.
Right. No, I mean, God, we see it's amazing, John. Like we see this same pattern from you from all these different instruments, and that's incredible. It just goes to show like how well you know what you're trading, and how patient you are with finding these setups. So really, really great stuff, and the consistency in your trading as well. Like the short, this is perfect. I mean, it went against you a little bit, but it is perfect. Like here's the retest back up in here. It fails. You see the cluster in here. Here comes the selling again. Beautiful. It does one little more kind of scare here. And then it just dumps. I do have a question though for you, because it scares me. Um,
There you go.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah.
no. You mentioned though that there's a couple of things about it actually. So if this stopped you out and went up here,
Yeah.
so I would be kind of curious to know, like, um, well, I mean, you'd probably be looking for the same kind of thing in here, and that selling to come in, and then you're looking for it to go back down. But the if it comes up here though, now it's your VWAP is now out of sync in terms of this being a short, and how you kind of view that with your VWAP at that point.
Mhm. Well, what I would say to that is that when I took the entry, VWAP had been compromised. If prices were to go back up and test that '09, I would want to see something like we saw earlier, where I have number two. You see how it goes up there, and it's a sharp turn. I would need to see an order flow event, like a big fat dot, in which buyers failed and where liquidity canceled or got less. So the picture would have to change. It wouldn't be simply just revisiting that '09. I would need to see an event. And I'll tell you what scared me about this trade and what also helped me to make the decision to get short is that you can see up there at '09 for a moment liquidity was canceled.
Yeah.
That was part of the condition of getting short, and then they came back in again. And it was just after I got in, and I was like, "Oh God, what have I done?" Right? So I would be looking for just basically a liquidity grab is what I would be willing to trade there. And it would have to look like that. Prices ran up and then put in a reversal, something that I could place a very close stop in to see if it would come back down. But your point is well taken. VWAP, would be on the above the VWAP, but I would like I said, I would treat it as a liquidity grab, as a flush,
Got
if
you.
it were to do that.
Got you. Okay. Okay.
Hey, Bruce, I have a second panel if you want to go check that one out.
Sure.
Yeah, and this was an alternate approach that some of the audience may also want to consider. This is something that I kind of viewed as a different aspect of your trade, John. This almost looks like it could be a book flip over here. If you really look at it, it could be a possible head and shoulders. And so it looks like it might even be consolidating. And so what I did was, I drew that support, which turned into resistance. And you can see it looks like it could be a little bit of liquidity there. Now, it might have broke that support and turned into resistance. I couldn't really, you might have been able to see the pullback a little better. I saw that you're in an hourly time frame. So if you zoomed in, I don't know, 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, you might have been able to see that pullback once that break occurs. And then, heck, I mean, I really don't see anything that will really prevent this from diving south and, taking, maybe just the full liquid target. I mean, the liquid target is right there as well. And you made a good point as far as the liquidity above, hey, maybe, this is a good reward risk ratio. You might have had your stop somewhere up around the liquid that you talked about. But yeah, this, like you said, it just dived right south. And so, yeah, I just want to know if any comments about this or any additional insights. Take it away. Let's go with John and around the horn.
It's a good confirmation, but for me, it's a little late. Vinny, I would feel like I would be chasing it. So, but your point is well taken, and I see that as a confirmation. And I did see it once it broke that '01 area, '02. I knew that I knew that I was home free, right? But in terms of waiting, are you suggesting waiting to get in there right at that, right at?
I'm, with me, like you had mentioned, with me and
Yeah.
maybe maybe I'm a little bit more, I don't know if we could call it patient, but wanted to make sure, confirmation, additional
Sure.
confirmation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that would just be a different view. But your setup is don't change, the way you do it, because I mean, you're rock solid. But I hope that provides you or maybe some of the audience a different view of it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
All right, 911.
Nothing else to add. Thanks, buddy. Great stuff. Great job.
Thanks.
Dan.
Just one thing, yeah, for the are you looking options for that or for bonds or
It's say that again, Stan. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
can't.
I'm just wondering if there is options for that that you're looking at
Well,
in trade, or you
certainly
don't
not
see.
this time of the day, right? During the
Yeah,
day, I mean, you could look at TLT and see where the pockets of options are. I really haven't found that to be very helpful, or to even run Hero on TLT. Um, for the bonds, what I really weigh heavily is the order flow the liquidity. And I don't trade them all that much because the liquidity oftentimes is not presented this clearly. Usually it's kind of filled in intermediate. There's usually not these huge pockets of liquidity. And that was really the reason for the trade. I have it up on one of my screens. I look at it occasionally, and something like this comes up. Well, then I start to get ready to trade it. But no, this is all based on order flow. No, not really options at all.
yeah, perfect. I completely understand. When it's clear, that's perfect. But yeah, for me that's good.
Great stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, and just real quick regarding order flow series, I posted a web link in the chat for that, for those a good foundation that has a set of 3-minute videos. I think Bruce, you put that together. Thanks.
That new course is what you're talking about?
No, your old course is the foundation one. It had about
Right.
30 videos.
Got
Yeah, that
you.
was outstanding.
Oh yeah, that's we've had that for quite a while. And oh, thank you, Vinny. Yeah, I think it does kind of go through the details of, well, from the most binary kind of trade on up, looking, and I think it helps people understand not only Bookmap better, but like just the markets better, because this is what makes up the market. It's not a freaking candlestick pattern with a moving average, So anyway,
But for some of us, it was for a number of years, right, David?
Oh, love it. I still use it. You see it, guys. And we saw it earlier on. I think we're all aligned, but it can be a little bit of absorption. But Bookmap's another lens, that's for sure. So yeah.
I think back on how I made my decision years ago. I can't believe I actually survived. I just unreal. We didn't have a lot of the data that we do now, right?
No,
But
no,
still,
no.
I mean, I was all price action. Silly.
Yeah. Let's see. David, you haven't gone yet, so let's.
I haven't gone. No. I've got
We got to get
Laura
you. We got to.
and Rob.
Yeah, Laura and Rob, and neither of them are here.
Yeah.
But let's see here.
Yeah, let's cover quickly Laura. Just one point on here, and it's tongue in cheek from David, because I'm not sure who has MBO stops, is allowed MBO stops within the Academy. Bruce, perhaps you can refresh.
Yeah, sure. So anyone who is Bookmap Academy, Junior Academy, or Bookmap Academy, or coaches, you guys have free access to the MBO data, or I'm sorry, the MBO bundle. Actually, it just kind of ended on the 10th. It was the April 10th to May 10th, but I don't know. Maybe I can get it extended for everybody, and maybe we can also extend it to Bookmap Academy applicants as well. That made it under a threshold. Maybe if it was like they joined before like last month or something like that. Yeah, that'd be nice. But because like one of the things, just to take another second here, David. One of the things that I think is just so important is what John has been harping on for quite a while. is to look for not only your higher time frame level and your kind of higher time frame direction, and then your setup, but then in your setup look for that order flow event to give you that extra edge. And stops and icebergs, I think, work well in that context. John has been going over sweeps as well, and that's basically like a stop run most of the time. But anyway, we'll try to get it extended, I think.
Yeah, great idea. If I could pull that thread on this chart then, Bruce, so I won't unpack it too much here, conscious of time. So it's an ORB, so opening range bar trade. That's on the first minute, as we had Jack talking about at the start of the call. I run my ORBs, as does Laura and many others, on an M1 basis for new traders. Then that's looking at the high and the low of the first minute of the RTH open, as Laura has annotated on the left of the chart here. And then that becomes horizontal lines for the rest of the trading day. Earlier on, I did post on that thread the NASDAQ coming into the cash close, the ORB, and you'll see how deadly that was still later on in the day. So she's trading that setup and that. But the key thing I wanted to highlight here was within the stops, Bruce. You can see the volume bars, the price has been driven up. It's all fine and dandy. Price is rallying up. Then it stops, completely stops buying. It's a little bit of selling on. If you flip to my chart, Bruce, so that's the third chart in the presentation, please. And we'll see why. So we've gone up through various option levels, but you can see quite a large stop run that was burnt, and then the price comes back down. So that was the thread I was trying to pull here. Bruce, it's very kind. You're going to sort of refresh the MBO offering, because if you'd seen what those stops were being pulled, Laura, perhaps you could have taken a trade today. And those that have been, I'll say, I can see Mike's in the room at the moment. Those that have been following me this week and the past previous weeks, I've been trading a little bit more NASDAQ than I have ES. And I'm finding the MBO information, Bruce, on NASDAQ being a lot nicer, or let's say giving greater insights than it does on ES at times. So, and that was it for Laura, really, to be fair. There was a little bit of stop management that she had. She got into the first trade on that ORB failure, and she pulled the stop forward and got stopped out, but she could see the liquidity below for John, and she got back in. I mean, we all do. I do that all day long at times, as John laughs at me, as you see at times where I get stopped out. The thing, but yeah, no, great trading, Laura, and great charting.
Yes.
But those stops will really help you in terms of putting a lens across things. That's for sure.
Yes.
Bruce, you're the master on these charts.
No, not. I mean, well, first off, like, I mean, Laura and Shark. Laura learned from Shark on the 1, 2, 3, and then brought in the trend line, and looking at this is something very much in line with what we covered with Steven, which is great. So, again, we've got this, opening range breakout movement here. But look at the high. Okay, now it's a little difficult sometimes to gauge in the open, because, like, my God, how much pressure do they really have? We kind of don't know, but we do know that a lot got filled, right? That's for sure. And then we see that it basically kind of exhausts out up here. I mean, you can clearly, see that here. And then I really like what you're bringing up, though, David. Like, look at the stops, more stops, pretty high stops, a lot less. So how much more pain is in this? How much more? Remember how we saw, like, with with Vale found, it would hit a level of high liquidity, and then you'd see one more big push, like, go exponential like this, fail, come right back in, chop around a little bit, and then go to the downside. And we don't get that here,
No.
because there's really not. Okay, it did hit some stops, but it's just not hitting much. They've already been stopped out. So I think you're spot on, David. This is giving you really good insight.
It does. It definitely does. Yeah. Yeah. There were some good ones today, John. I don't know if you saw some of the posts I was doing on NASDAQ. I'd call it some I'll say counter trend trades, Bruce, where the market's going one way, but it's ripping stops. You can get in and just go and tear, whether it's 10 handles or, as Jack was teasing me, a couple of sort of ticks out on that. So yeah. Just using Bookmap for sure. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And could I pull that thread quickly, Bruce? Because that was something I was talking to Tom about on the weekend. Because we all talk to Tom, we all follow Tom, and he was rightly teasing me a bit about sort of what I'm saying on these webbies, Bruce. That there's nothing wrong with trying to make a living on taking 3, 4, 5 handles out, and we can have a round table on that at the moment. And Tom was rightly saying, really, the focus should be, and I totally agree with him, it should be taking those longer runs like we've seen on 1 or 2 charts tonight. And I agree with that. I contradict myself. I agree with that completely, Bruce. But also, we all know as traders, there's nothing like the great feeling you have when you take 3, 4, 5 handles out on ES. It's a lovely feeling. And you got commissions to pay and all the rest. But if you can work those setups as you talk about, Bruce, that 10 different things of this and 10 different things of that, I think you can do pretty well. John, help me, please.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. A combination of both. I try to do that myself. And then you see the big volume dots where you can add and carry that for 3 or 4 handles. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to get, I don't get those big, huge 30-point runs. Sometimes, occasionally, I did it this morning, but it's rare. My wheelhouse is more like 10. And then I'm also taking those 2 and 3 along the way for sure. And they all add up. And I'll pay the commission. That's fine.
Exactly. It's small. This morning was a great one for all of us, really. So I'm going again sideways here, because I was going long, wasn't I, John, off that bounce? And you were already short. And that was like I have with Jack at times, where you got 2 traders playing a similar game, but we're going in different directions because it's the same course, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, just different time frame. Same movie, different time.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, yeah. Stan, sir, what do you think?
Not a lot to add. I think you said everything. I like the money management. Then we could sow. Very protective.
She is, isn't she? Yeah, she is. Which
and even did not hesitate to take it back after. And it works. So that's great. For the liquidity, everything makes sense. So you were patient. You took your trades. To add maybe more conviction from the sellers for the entry, but you have your setup.
Yeah, I'm always getting slapped out like that.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Perfect. Mr. V.
Yes, Vinny here. Okay, Bruce, can you go back to your first chart that you had before, please? Because Laura had went ahead and used the subchart over here. It looks like you had the CVD over there as an extreme. And so that would, obviously, Bruce, you talked about part of the MBO package. There's a CVD down there. It looks like it had a VPI as well. So that was also an indicator of another asset that you can use for a potential short opportunity. Nice. And that's it.
Nice, sir.
Yeah, nice.
Very good.
Let's see. So I know this is the ORB, and so I just a little bit of clarity, David. Because I'm a little confused. This is an ORB here to the upside.
Yeah, there's a trade there, the opening trade, like today.
Okay.
Lovely trade.
And then going below the open here, is the ORB basically here that she's grabbing.
Yeah. Yeah,
and,
there's quite a few different trades within this. There's the yellow line, which is the POC, which you could have taken. You can see you got a bit of kissing and hugging on that. She could have gone in short there. That's it. Yeah, that area there. You know that's
a nice one. Yeah,
that's a really nice one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a really nice one. But she's rightly sticking to a set. But we've talked, I think, on previous weeks about sort of trying to expand that idea. It breaks through the low RB, it comes back up, it tests, which is probably going to be the actually opening number, which might be where she sort of got in, but it's not on the chart. So within an ORB, you've got the upper and lower of that first minute that I use, and then there's what's called the opening print from the CME, which is going to be a middle line within that. So it's probably the opening number that she's starting to get involved with. Yeah, when it starts to break down and fail there. But yeah, I'm saying it again, that there's certainly, as you're saying, Vinny, there's quite a few other trades within that as a scalper. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That probably didn't help you, Bruce, did it? That's probably more confusing for me.
No, I understand. It's the backside, of the range here, or the the opening. No, just on her trade, I was just kind of thinking here. Let me go back here quick to this one,
Trade chart.
and yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's too bad that it doesn't show. It would have been really lovely that if there was high liquidity. I mean, you see some, but it would be great if you just saw really big bands getting filled up here, and then you get this, this almost, this exponential line here. Then you get your exhaustion here. You get your sellers starting to come in, and you're looking for this to to drop. Target 1, which she's got, John, she's learned from you. Target 1 from that high liquidity, target 2 in front of that high liquidity down here, and that's beautiful. Great stuff. I'm a little I know that I think it's a little aggressive with the stop here. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where you're comfortable, and you're looking for this to move now. I get that, and maybe this is fine, Laura. I would say, like, get stopped out. That's fine. You'll probably get to the point where, like, yeah, I'm getting kind of sick of getting stopped out, and then getting back in. Or maybe you're just like, you know what, it's worth it. I've seen it rip against me and come back up into these areas really, really quickly. Therefore, I'll get stopped out. I'll just get in again. I'm fine with that, and then great, because you didn't lose. You probably got it break even here, +1, and then you took it again, and then you nailed it. So whatever is you're most comfortable with, I think, Laura, in terms of trade management.
The second entry is the better one with the Monday morning, because you got the volume bars sort of picking up.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I mean, good Lord, there's all ways to slice and dice it as well. I mean, you can see this kind of break here, and then this is where David is like coming in with the whip, and flogging it, to the downside.
Yeah.
But it's just I love the backside of it here. The front side of it, like. There's nothing to I'm just kind of not complaining or anything, or I'm just like, I don't have too much to say about it, and I just don't see a whole lot going on in here. But there's a swing up here, that's for sure. There's the ORB, and it's the retest back into that swing, and that it does not, it fails in here. So I guess on that sense, with the larger time frame, it makes good sense. We just don't see a whole lot of order flow in here. We just have this level down here, basically. And just note, though, that once it gets through that level, it really starts to take off as well. So just a few things to note. That's everything I got.
Perfect.
So she took a little break, with the increase of volatility, and I just see a much cleaner chart in general. I think she's done a great job in cleaning it up,
Yeah.
and it's a lot easier to follow how she used the order flow and the liquidity to trade. So I think she's really did a nice job here, and I think it's important if you do get a little flustered, just take a little break, take the pressure off of getting a prop trading account or trading your account, and just take a little time to regroup. And that's what I see that she's done here, and she's come up with a much cleaner chart to look at.
Yeah, she's refining her process.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
getting better and better.
Yeah.
And she's like been just a model, really.
Yeah.
So really, really great work, Laura.
Plus, she's a girl, so she's a lot smarter than the rest of us, right?
Oh,
She's
fine.
done really great.
Right.
Yeah, pounding on the table, yelling at your monitors. Why me?
Of course.
It went for my stop. We could all go on and on and on.
Yeah. Not to mention throwing the mug at the monitor and having to order a new monitor.
I drink after polystyrene cups these days, John.
Break a few desks. Yeah.
I know I'm right. I'm going to add to it.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
They wouldn't do this to me.
Yeah. Oh, no, that level is going to hold. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And so I agree with her. She's trading the Nasdaq, so I don't blame her for getting out real quick.
Yeah.
She expected a sharp drop, didn't get it, so she covered it. I think that's wonderful. I do that myself. You can always get back in.
You can,
But
Yeah.
you see that forming in front of you. Get out. It's a commission.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, it so easily could have come up to the VWAP up here.
Easily.
No problem.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah, nice work, Laura.
Yep.
So guys, I'm sorry, we've gone 2 hours here. I have listed it down who we're going to cover next time. Duzman, I had you actually to cover. So we'll please continue on with your journaling, and we'll go over you next time. Shark, we'll get to you. DNT. Trading is life. I don't know if I didn't see you on the list this time, so I'm assuming that you didn't have much journaled. And then Malek, we had you on the list, and you weren't in earlier, so we kind of skipped over. But we'll also cover you there too. So if you guys, please, continue on with your journaling, and happy to go through you, go over you next time. So that's it for this session. Coaches, thank you so much, and Academy members, thank you so much. I think these are really, really helpful. Every week, I always walk away just thinking, wow, this is great. I mean, we've got some good stuff going on in here. So, David, take us out.
Thank you, everyone. Really echo everything that Bruce has said. It's a pleasure actually just talking through these trades and learning from one another and seeing how we sort of rinse the market out. Have a great weekend ahead and everything else, and enjoy the Friday markets as well. Thank you. Thank you again, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thank you,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys. Take care. Thanks.
Good job.
Bye. Great.